Hello and welcome to another rip-roaring edition of the full 80 minutes on Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. We have been missing in action for the last couple of weeks. That was partly my fault because I have just had a week in the south of France, or should I say the whole country of France, roaming around those lovely cities such as Paris, Bordeaux, Toulouse, Lyon. But we're back. We have missed a couple of rounds of the Super League. We've missed the opening couple of rounds of the Championship, and of course League One has started. We've also had the 1895 Cup, and this weekend the Challenge Cup last 16, of course, comes back into view with the Super League, Championship and League One taking a rest. As always, Mick the Game Caller Gleddle here, joined by Mr. Craig. Show me the money, Harrison, the king, the boss, the man who started this all them years ago, and of course the can't really say the pretender to the throne anymore, because I'm speaking to so many clubs, Joe, and they're saying, look, Jomi's got it. Jomi's got it. You know, he's the Eddie to Barry, if that makes sense. But no, we're back, and please subscribe below, because without your love and your you watching the show and of course engaging in the comments, we would have no show. There's loads going on, Craig. Absolutely loads going on. We're going to try our best to cover as many topics that are currently hot in the world of rugby league. We have the Rugby Football League situation with Simon Johnson and Tony Sutton, and the vote at the council meeting on Wednesday. We have the Salford Red Devils fiasco, which is ongoing. We've got the fallout from Vegas, the positives, of course, an increase in the crowd, record viewing figures, commercial revenue, and then probably a little bit on the negative side, that England women's against the Gillaroos, which was an absolute horror show car crash. And obviously Peter Volandis saying that game will now not take place next year, which is really, really harsh. Obviously we've got that great game, what took place on Thursday at the K-Con between Hull FC and Lee, the fallout from that one. We've had referees, boss Phil Bentham, come out and say that Hull should have had the penalty on halfway. Ultimately, I don't think that wrong referee decision affected the game, because it did end up a draw. And we've got a whole host of what's happened in the third round of the Championship, League One, and of course the Super League. But before we go into all that, Craig, how the hell are you doing?
Well, thank you for that short intro, Mick. Yeah, fantastic, Mick. I'm actually buzzing for rugby league. The weather's changed, which always makes me. I get that old. What do you call the old?
Seasonal depression.
I get it. I get that. I'm like that. We used to watch Yogi Bear. If I could in the day, I'd go and sleep in cave for 4 months and come out in March. Cheltenham's next week, so. From a racing point of view, I think with winter wear tomorrow, I think we're trying to find a pub. Jomi might take a visit with us. We're going to go and get 10 pints down us. First day at Cheltenham, try and lose a few quid. And if we win some, we'll be eating. We might even join Curry Club tomorrow night, son. And do you know what? I mean, what's the word I'm going to use? Is it envisy? Give me the... I'm absolutely so excited for the future of rugby league for the first time. I love what I'm watching. I don't know whether it's just me. I get my app on yesterday and Maria laughs her head off. She's like, oh my God, he's going to sit there. And I get my app set up and I couldn't get it on split screen. So if you can help me at rugby league, it says you can do split screen on the app. I didn't know how to do it. So I wanted to watch Huddersfield and I wanted to watch
I've not
Wakefield.
figured that out yet.
And they said there's a way, it says online, you can split screen. Any ideas, please go, message in so we can find out how to do that. But Mix Summit Rugby and Summit Games has been the best start I have ever seen, honestly. And I want to go quickly. Joe can introduce himself in a minute. That Vegas game, we've had split camps. You've got the occasion were massive. We've had Wigan Blue, Warrington away. We've had Warrington went there and treated it like a stag do, let's go, party central.
Well, the clip of Sam Burgess on the motorbike.
Well, do you know what? I don't mind that mix. It was after the game. Now, people have said to me, no, Craig, you're wrong. They got beat. Sam should have put his head in a room. I don't agree. If you're that type of character and they like him for that, why would he not after the game? Now, is it a show of disrespect to the fans? Well, I saw fans were all clapping it and think, do I think there's a time and a place? I'm sure there is, but I think the Vegas thing, Mick, you're taking your brain off going anyway. You're there. Some of the things I heard off the lads were this: you get there, and they had to put a lot of hours into marketing it. So it wasn't get there, sit in your room. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're on all week.
Very intense.
All week, your job
intense.
is to market this game. So dancing on the stages. Somebody said about the ladies shouldn't have done the dance because they got beat 90. No, they've been told to promote the game. So the lads were out and among it everywhere. It was a party atmosphere. It was everything. The fans were all out. The fans are mixing with the players. We can't believe it. So you can't then just switch that off. Now, did Wigan do that? I'm sure Wigan, knowing Wigan as we all do, I'm sure Matty Peters said to his players, lads, let's get the business done. Then after that, Matty seemed to control their media, what they did a bit, probably had a say on what they did. But I thought, some of the stuff Wigan played, and I spoke to Matty Pete on this. I said, tell me the way you're playing, and he said, you know what, Greg, people should give us respect. The weather, he said, the weather in our country against Vegas, he said, that arena was electric to play rugby. There's no mud on ball, there's no wind coming at you. We play in horrendous conditions 6 months a year. He said, you give us that track every week, you would see football played in Super League like you will not believe. That's how they took it. It was a massive bonus to be on that spectacle. And the stadium and the ball, and it was there to... You mix that with Jay and Bevan and what they've got going off, it's sensational. Was it a plus for the game? Massively. Before they went, Mick, I stood there and said, why should they be able to go and nobody else? I thought it was a bit selfish. I apologise to Warrington and I apologise to Wigan. You were right to do what you did. You took our game to the next level. You've given us a chance of getting on that dance floor next year. Flanders were happy with us. Thought Wigan, he thought from the football. They said the fans, we won the fans battle. Did you see that? They said that the best fans that were there were the English fans. They made the most noise. They brought a party atmosphere.
Yeah, there was about 11 to 12,000 fans who've gone there. And this isn't just Wigan Warrington fans. I know personally at least 30 Bradford fans who went. There were Halifax fans, Huddersfield fans who've gone, which I guess you have neglected your club's fixtures for that weekend, but the draw and lure of Vegas is that strong. People have spent £2,000, £3,000 for that weekend, for that event, which is great to see. And
we would do it next year. Joe, we talked about it. We're definitely going to go next year. If Flanders invites us in again, we're nearer courting them to buy it. We've talked about this on the full 80. I think we broke it. We felt the only future for the game is if they buy us. That's what we said maybe 2 years ago. Well, that's court. If you think what's happening, you're courting them. You're saying to us, look what we can do. Look how this has gone down. Could Wigan compete with Penrith? I think so. Even though there's a 6 million cap, I'm telling you now, they won't be. There's no one blows Wigan away in Australia. At the moment, you'll bring who you want, and it sounds ridiculous this, but off a 2.8 cap, would they give NRL 9 million cap? 100%. 100% they would. That is phenomenal. That's like saying Leicester when they won the league. This is what you're saying. Can we compete off a £6 million less cap? Well, I'll tell you now, speak to them. Let's see who dare take Wigan on at this moment. I think Wigan have got right there. A total success for me. And that's what I want to start the show with. When you mentioned it, let's all get behind that idea. They're saying Leeds KR next year. That's what we're hearing.
I saw St Helens, Eamon McManus saying, but I am led to believe they probably are going to go Leeds or KR.
Yeah.
It's a shame you couldn't get the whole derby there.
Be sensational. What do you think, Joe?
Brilliant, wasn't it? You saw more rugby league. I think we nicked a lot of the RFL marketing, wasn't they? So even all over Twitter, all over your Instagrams, you saw more about it. You saw them dancing. They were pushing it like mad. That's what we've been calling the RFL, obviously with limited resources, but that's what we've been calling them to do for years. And I think NRL, the system showed how to do it. The quality of production, which is obviously, people have been having a dig at Sky the last week, but saying the quality of production on that game was just another level. Every angle, every TV screen, the clarity, which again, weather and conditions of stadiums also helped massively. But just everything was done right. It was done for the hype around it was sensational, wasn't it? It was brilliant. It's everything you want to see in rugby league and more. There's been a push before it. Everyone were excited for the Vegas. Then since now, there just seems to be a buzz about rugby. I think last year's playoffs helped. That was so good. So we're riding a high, and then it's gone up again. We've not just petered out and slowly dropped off after last year's high. We're actually going boom, 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 and it's brilliant to see. I speak to rugby with my friends now more than ever, which I think not on me, that's on them actually showing more of an interest again. And on Twitter, you see, my Twitter obviously naturally is just full of rugby league. It's brilliant. I think we're at a good place at the moment, so we just need to get probably finish this, get this season right. And I think there's something to build for the first time in years. There's the building blocks are nearly there for success of Super League to come back. So yeah, I'm really happy with the game. Really, I'm happy with things at the moment. I'm not a naysayer of whether IMG had anything to do with it. I don't think so.
No.
But just in general, the old negative. I'm positive. I think rugby league, if we get this next few months right, is in a good place.
Well, interestingly, from a sort of UK-based perspective, I had so many people messaging me like, "Oh my God, Sky Sports are using the Monday Night Football studio with the big screen and the presentation." Actually, watching, I couldn't watch the game live. I was busy elsewhere, but when I actually sat down and watched that hour and a half build-up, it's a shame you don't get that. It did feel like what you see in the Premier League with either TNT Sports or Sky Sports. They give it the full shebang. They're actually using the state-of-the-art touchscreens, which was great. And rugby league needs more of that. Not so much we're going to turn a stream and flick a switch at 5 to 8 and there's no build-up, and then all those frustrating things. I've obviously been in the south of France for the past week, and from sort of like trying to show non-rugby league people, there's a pub in Toulouse called the Melting Pot. So draped, it's basically a rugby league, a British rugby league fan's delight, because any fans that have been there, like the Widnes flags, the Bradford shirts, Featherstone scarf, Hull KR, when they've been there, Huddersfield, Leeds, they've all got the shirts. It's a great place on the main strip. But there's obviously a lot of French people in there that don't really understand rugby league. But when you look at that presentation, and I just don't want to make this about Sky and lack of effort, but video referee, 6 boxes, no one camera angle. To non-people watching it, the presentation is poor. It needs to be better, and that is hopefully one thing that will get sorted out. So I've been on at the RFL this weekend. I'm like, do we need a box where the camera's on the referee? And then you've got the little box at the side with the 6 camera angles. We need to be better. We need it to be better. A small bugbear. I don't want to make the show about that, but hopefully someone at the RFL understands, when you're trying to get new people into the sport and they are presented with a screen and then another box with 6 little boxes with different camera angles in, and then a box on the right of that with the referee. It's just too much. People don't understand what's going on.
I think you're right, Rick, because I think now more than ever, again, we've talked about YouTube loads over the years on the show. You look at YouTube and look at the quality that like a few lads with mates can put together, and then you look at Sky and you look at some of the stuff they do for us. There is a thing there, and the way to impress the young lads is having it razzle dazzle on the screen. It is having camera
really
production.
Vibrant, really fresh. Yeah, not where you're having to like.
They need to
which camera am I watching here? Because no one knows. They need to get that bit
sorted out. I think because the kids just won't be interested, because they can watch stuff that's high quality and that high just standard of production and editing now, that unless we keep up again. So yeah, with your NRL showed us it. They let us use the Sky. They let us use the thing. If they just give us it back and let us have a go.
Do you know what though? Even without that, we've always said this. Mick, you're a commentator who I think, and I would take the piss, but I genuinely think that you're in that 1%. Talented wise, if you're a rugby player, you would be a Lee Breers type. You've got all the talent in the world, but you haven't won anything. No, kidding, Breersy. Did you think Vossi? We all know Vossi's supposed to be number 100%. But are you seeing the difference? And this is, please, this is no detriment to anybody at Sky who commentates. I'm just stating what I see and what thousands of people say to you everywhere you go. When you've got the online, the stuff, I get it. But what about the pure theatre of watching the commentary? Is that, do you notice a massive difference?
Yes. I obviously do rate the NRL commentators, Dan Ginnane, Andrew Voss, absolutely. With the greatest respect to people who call the game in this country, those are the people who I look up to.
Right, there you go. Because do you know what I think it is? I think it's like a mesmeric. Voss's takes you into a real imaginative, passionate. He's excited when he talks.
Yes, that's
and
what
I think you owe it to the punter. Yes. If you're talking about rugby and you're on that, you've got to. And it's not a false narrative where you go, he genuinely, I think, is so excited to see and talk rugby. I find that absolutely superb. It'd be interesting if they could give him a game a month or something and just say, look, does his figures go up because people are going to want to listen to that type of level? And it's good for our comp, because if he did take the level up with his team, can we get our team to be at that level? But listen, big success. I think the only downfall you can have is Warrington, and this is what we're going to talk about, is Warrington come back. There's a short turnaround. I couldn't believe Wakefield, I think somebody said, were 11-2 to beat Warrington after a 4 or 5 day, after they got beat at Wigan. They were back on the Monday. If the rumours are right, some people missed the plane, whether they did or not, whether it or whatever. So they've got back and they're playing a rejuvenated Wakefield Trinity. I thought Wakefield was every chance to win. Then you look at what Wigan have done in the first half. Huddersfield were in the bottom of the league, a spanking Wigan. Wigan come back and win the game. Of course it had an effect on the players. Of course it must have done. I think there were 4 players dropped out of Wigan Warrington squad from Wednesday, Thursday onwards. And they all, they were tired, fatigue, hamstrings, tight this, tight that, bang. If we get the teams to go and do it, and then they have the short turnaround, this is the bits that I sometimes think, is it the Champions League in football? They complain about them against football play. FA Cup, League Cup, is it called the so-and-so Cup now? Then you look at the Champions League tomorrow night, Wednesday, Thursday. Ours is a lot of contact sport in it. I like it because it gives other players a game. We've got to see some other players and it makes the comp a bit thing. But I think that's what, if we could get that, what they got every year guaranteed. And one thing we never get in rugby league is security. We won't get to know about this probably till September next year. They should say it now. They should say, whoever wants to go to Vegas next year, this is on. And if you want to go and watch this, we've got 1 game guaranteed on. The 4 games were too much. They've all slaughtered the women. I don't know anybody who thought the women wouldn't get slaughtered. I didn't get it when they're all slaughtering the ladies. That's disgusting because the captain came on the telly and said, we're semi-professional. This is what we get paid. Their cap and their players are on a dig. It's like a different game. They've gone there, they've had a dig, and then this TV have gone, they should have known that before, mate.
My argument on that, just quickly, and there's been quite a lot of comments, is it's not the players' fault.
Not a chance.
The buck stops with Peter Volandis, the NRL and the RFL. That would be like putting Leeds Rhinos against Stanley. You would not have Leeds Rhinos against Stanley. And that's the big spectacle. You wouldn't. It would blow out. And, I feel for every one of those England players because, the Women's Super League, I remember covering the Women's Super League in 2017 when there was Fato, Heath, Featherstone and Bradford. There was just 3 clubs who could win it. Leeds, Wigan, York having women's teams wasn't even on the periphery. So to go from that to that in just under a decade where you have a Wigan, you've got a Leeds, you've got a York, you've got a St Helens, you've got Huddersfield, you've got 3 or 4 challenging the status quo. But let's not kid ourselves. When you look at the salary cap for the women's sport, the money that they're on, the skill level...
Well, are the women's on as much as our men in Super League?
Yes.
You hear that?
No way.
That's what they're saying. They're spending 1 million and it's near as much as what we get off Sky.
And I think that's why Peter Volandis, he hasn't confirmed it, but if you read into what he said, he's going to pull it. There'll be 3 games next year. Or if they can get the State of Origin game 1 in Vegas, the women's State of Origin. But again, you speak to the Australian coaches of the women's game. They're in the press saying, well, we don't want that so early in the season because of the contacts, the physicality, they don't think the girls will be ready. So it's potentially looking like at this stage it would be Australia against the Kiwi Ferns.
So the question for you both, and for viewers who are listening, is if we take the game on the road, which we've tried to do in this country, Barcelona, Toulouse, whatever, if we brought Origin to Wembley, does it sell out within a day?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can fill 100,000 at Wembley if we brought State of Origin here.
Well, Wembley holds about 88,000.
There you go.
88.
Could we do 88,000?
I don't know about a day, but I'd be, within a month, I would be shocked if there were tickets.
Well, what
Wouldn't it be amazing for our game, Mick, if we could actually, instead of them telling us what we're going to get, wouldn't it be good if we have somebody, and I know you're coming on to it later about there's going to be changes at the RFL, but I'd love to find the person who could do a Vlandis and say to Vlandis, well, bring Origin here, and we'll put Origin at Wembley Stadium. We'll do the biggest profile I've ever seen. This will do more for the game in England than any type of game in the world over. This is like bringing the World Cup final to Manchester, Champions League. We should be fighting back at the Aussies and saying, thanks for that, what you did in Vegas. Big thank you. How about you bringing Origin here? And we'll promote it and we'll give you guaranteed 25 million TV rights. And what would that do for our game?
I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen.
That's where it's going now.
I don't think it's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, but as we are slowly seeing from the feedback I'm hearing from the clubs is you are seeing the NRL, now they've experienced Wigan and Warrington going, and those 11 to 12,000 fans and the money, the noise, the passion, they want to tap into that. They really do want to tap into that. And if it's true, like you say, Leeds and OKR are going next year, and then St Helens and someone else the year after, then get ready. The sport, hopefully, Craig, this is that injection of growth and adrenaline, what we need.
What they're saying for Vegas is maybe doing the World Club Challenge for the Vegas game, aren't they, now?
Yeah, there's nothing set for next year, but there will be another 3 games.
What would you rather?
But the American football in Wembley now sells out every year,
yes.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So,
they take it to Dublin now, they take it to
and that's
Munich.
doing more for the game. American football in England is brilliant viewers-wise, so we do need to get some here. It'd be interesting if you brought, two NRL games. I'm just trying to throw. You don't make me laugh, Mick. You've always said this, and we'll finish on this point with this. You always said that no leadership. Joe keeps looking at his phone weirdly.
I do, yeah.
Is everyone's after their own dinner first, and you've always said we've never had that leadership, and everyone does what's right for them. It's quite funny because the clubs who come out moaning about breakaway of Wigan, breakaway of Warrington, have now all jumped on Bang Bang and put their ticket into act. You know what I mean? They've saw what's happened, they've gone, yeah, great idea. And it's funny how you've always said this, and you're right. We should, and I did it. We shouldn't have been allowed to give that opinion because we didn't realise what good they've got. If you let the clubs vote, you're right, mate. You've always said it. They'll just vote what's right for themselves,
rather than what is right for the game.
It's perfect, and I saw it. I know at least 3 clubs were going mad about this, and then they've all put the tickets in for next year, and you're like, yeah, you can't do that. You've got to say, hey, this is amazing. Fantastic, though.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on now. Probably, we know you want rugby league content, but this is massive because on Wednesday it is the RFL Council meeting. We'll try and give you a lie of the land.
Get straight into that. Shall we?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people will be wanting to know. I mean, look, we're doing this on a Monday afternoon. I am led to believe Simon Johnson is currently in a meeting with clubs, and we already saw Sandy Lindsay, the RFL director. I'm not sure if you saw the news at the back end of last week.
You said it in WhatsApp me.
Yeah, she's already gone. She's resigned before she was pushed at Wednesday's.
I think your comment was 1 gone, 3 to go.
Yes, I think it was something along those lines. But that's not my personal belief. That is the belief of the clubs, which I was obviously using the megaphone to broadcast.
I want to hit you live on this. Joe's here, Sam's here. I want to hit you live. Let's do a bit of proper what we're all about.
Well, I was saying that.
Have you any influence on Nigel Wood? Are you his PA on this? Have you been told off Nigel Wood at any time? Look at me in the eyes when I ask you this. Have you been told of Nigel Wood to make sure that the right positive thing comes off this programme for Nigel getting that job, yes or no?
No.
Look at camera.
No.
You've never had a conversation about this programme to Nigel Wood about what to say?
No. Nothing whatsoever, Craig, about portraying anybody in a good or a bad light. I have always stood by my own personal opinions and personal beliefs, and I have said repeatedly, there is weak, rudderless leadership at the Rugby Football League. When Robert Elston was there, it was weak, it was rudderless. Robert never had any power. He was the puppet masters, your Lenahans, your McManuses, your Morans. I've always called it. People in rugby league think gobshite.
No, I wouldn't say everybody. Just about 99.
No, but Craig, I will always call out what when I say wrong. I called out the Robert Elston debacle. I've called out the IMG debacle. And what you're going to see on Wednesday now, I think.
But how do you feel if it is Nigel, which you promoted 2 weeks ago on this show?
I have not promoted Nigel on this show.
Well, I disagree. I thought you were very pro. How would you feel about losing your chairman? Surely it's a Bradford only. Are you sacrificing the Bradford Bulls chairman for the better of the Rugby League?
Craig, fundamentally, this is about, does Rugby League have a plan?
I didn't ask you that.
No, but you need to hear me out here. Fundamentally, what is happening on Wednesday is, does Rugby League have a plan? Does it have a plan for growth? Is Rugby League in decline? Is it even in terminal decline? I think we all know the answer. I know you're infused after what's happened with Vegas. And look, there's been some absolutely fantastic championship scores, championship games. Look at that game between Leeds. Joe, you've just put it in. I was just about to say, look at that fantastic game on Thursday between Hull FC and Lee. The 0-0 Golden Point, Lee.
The only thing we've got wrong at the moment is the TV deal. That's because the owners at the top level and all the clubs in the country are saying we're having to put too much in.
Correct.
If it's true what the clubs are putting in now, if it's $2 million a piece now,
they're putting it. Yes,
it's ridiculous. I agree. But
Simon Moran was in the paper the other week saying he is now putting, for the first time ever, him and Derek Beaumont are actually putting in more into their club than they're receiving from the TV deal, and that now is the tipping point.
Problem.
So they've gone straight for the RFL. What are the answers? You know, we'll move on to Salford later on, but you know, the RFL, the veil of silence over Salford. The veil of silence over Robert Hicks. I'm hearing Robert Hicks has been paid out. So this is yet more money that has gone from the sport, paying out people. You know,
you've shot that.
If that comes out, Robert Hicks has been paid out, then this is more, you know, damage, and it damages the integrity of the sport. But you know, there's a lot of sort of spent up frustration from the clubs, and like I say, Craig, what is the actual plan for growth? What is the actual plan? Because you know from the owners who you speak to, they're not happy. Derek's not happy now that he's putting £2 million in. And I know people will say, well, that's up to Derek.
I don't think he looked happy on that stage.
No, but
Saturday night.
A lot of people will say, well, Derek, it's up to you. But then Lee won't. There wouldn't be a Lee Leopards. If Simon Moran didn't put the $2 million in, there wouldn't be a Warrington Wolves.
Towards the sports, our owners definitely. I'm not saying money-wise, football owners are crazy. Let's use the Notts Forest man at the moment, the top 3 in Premier League. He's in changing rooms, he's involved in everything. He's promoted the club, he's put millions in, and he has no problem doing it. That's what he sees as his thing, to lift Notts Forest into Europe. It'll be the greatest thing he's ever done in his life. There is a bit of that in everybody owns a club. I did it. There's a bit of you saying, I'm going to lose X amount here, but I'm going to give something back to this town that I love and give something back to. That's what you've got to have. I've heard that the Wigan guy is somebody's told me he's a massive lover of rugby league as well as Wigan, and he wants rugby league to be the focal point, the winner, as well as his passion to Wigan. He's a billionaire. If he throws $2 million a piece into Wigan, he ain't bothered. Let's be honest. That's like us throwing $1 grand. It's relevant to where your own wealth is.
Correct.
If it's true that all have got that type of power now, okay, I don't. I think that comes with the territory. I think where the frustration is, because the Sky TV deal's going like that, but I reckon most Sky TV deals and any sport's going like that. I wouldn't talk about a decline in our sport. I'd say the decline is a natural decline in sport in the UK. We have to be very careful to use that negatively to do it. We tend to say, oh, they're negative. No. I'm buzzing about rugby league. I'm not happy about the TV deal, but so what? I don't have. We've used on this programme this 10 million frigging sticks going out everywhere. The Sky have put this big thing, 260 million in lost revenue on sticks, what people are using illegal sticks to watch the. It's criminal, isn't it?
Look, you get the Guardian, you get the Times, the business things. Sky's profits are on the
way.
Yeah, and that is reflected. But look, fundamentally, we don't know what's going to happen. We're doing the show Monday, so Simon could join Sandy and he could resign, and then you're right, Craig. The clubs will then go for Tony Sutton, and I wouldn't call it.
I never said that.
No. But what I'm saying is,
Craig,
oh my word, Jesus Christ!
I never said Tony Sutton will go for.
No, I'm just saying you can see the mechanism in place. The clubs are not happy. Look, the Salford, they've just we'll go to Salford later, but this weekend behind the club's backs, Derek's been very vocal. They've paid the wages again now. Yes, they have paid the wages. They've paid them about 12 days early, I've been told. They've paid them out of this month's money 12 days early for last month's wages, which, it's stuff like this. Rugby league needs a spokesperson. It needs somebody who has balls of steel, who's full of piss and vinegar, somebody who is going to get the clubs on side and basically say, this is why this has happened, and show leadership. There's a leadership vacuum at the RFL. And it is frustrating. This is it, the clubs, this is why Wednesday's happening. And I hope the fans understand this isn't some sort of crazy plot or, bring Nigel Wood back and everything's all of a sudden going to turn to gold. If Nigel Wood is mad enough, in my opinion, to come back, if he's asked back by Gary Everington and Derek Beaumont, this is going to be an absolute painstakingly slow process because of where rugby league currently is into regards what it has lost in the last decade. But like I say, Craig, look, fundamentally...
What's your personal view on that, though?
In terms of what?
Nigel Wood going back into the ad. What's your
I personally think Nigel would be absolutely mad. But then I spoke to a Super League club at the weekend, and this was actually what they said. They said, well, look at Donald Trump in America. Everybody wrote him off. And Donald's come back, and now he's started the trade wars, and everyone's loving Donald because he's making America great again. This Super League chairman told me, he said, I'm with Team Nigel because I believe Nigel has right characteristics.
Word for word, you've had
yes.
RFL owner.
I have had a Super League Joe. This weekend,
Trump.
Listen, this weekend we've been talking about it because the vote is on Wednesday. There was a comparison from a Super League owner that Donald Trump, using a similar analogy, you get it, don't you, Craig?
Yeah, of course I do.
Everybody wrote Donald Trump off, said no, he's done, he's finished, and he's back, and look what he's doing. That is what. There's a lot of faith being put on Nigel. There is a lot of faith being put on Nigel Wood to, in my opinion, clean and cleanse and bring back the golden
streaks.
If you were
from, I lived in America when it.
Look, Joe, don't take it literally.
I'm not taking it literally, but I'm saying that
analogy.
But it's not even a good analogy because it's a completely different circumstance.
I know he's saying, listen, bottom line, Joe, is this is what I think. Nigel Wood, whenever they put somebody in power, you're a politics man. Whenever they put somebody in power, it's why they want him in power. I'd more or less ask the question, if all the clubs want Nigel back, what do they want out of it? What do they want? Do they really think Nigel is going to really go for V'landys and be our Peter V'landys? I always said Nigel was the best negotiator I've ever seen. I'll say that to anybody. I think you've been to his house, he lives and breathes rugby league. He's got the historian of rugby league. He loves rugby league. I will never ever say nothing about Nigel. My whole thing is it should go out to 3 or 4 or 5 people if they try and find it. When the clubs are shoving somebody forward, there's usually a reason why they're doing it. We've all heard in the Yorkshire Mafia the Curry Club want the power back in Yorkshire. So Nigel's there, Donald Trump of the Yorkshire. I've heard the Lancashire and a couple want to bring somebody else in or go out to thingy because they've got, let's be honest, we can all talk like politics. At the moment, the Lancashire have got I'm not going to say the power, but they do the England thing very cleverly. Wayne, I don't know if Wayne works for England. Sean works for Wigan, or did. Got a connection at Wigan of 25 years. The training facilities for England's at Wigan. So a lot of the decisions thing is, if they bring Nigel in, it's the York. I believe, and I've heard that the Championship clubs are pushing Nigel. I've heard the vote's already been done, and they've all gone Nigel Wood, bang.
That's correct.
What is the reason they all want Nigel back? What's your opinion?
Well, no, that's not an opinion. The reason, you'll know the reason. My opinion on it separately. I don't. Like you said, what am I missing then? That is it. The IMG one putting the money in, that big of a deal that they getting it all out.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper than IMG, wouldn't it?
Yeah, miles cheap. Is it the IMG that's the cause of the main issue, Mick, or is it?
No. The main issue is the leadership vacuum. The fact that Rugby League has never had a more shrinking media presence. I know you're talking about the Vegas games and stuff, but in terms of where Rugby League currently is, the crowds, the viewing figures, the commercial revenue, the TV broadcast deal, Rugby League is in the gutter. It has never been any lower. And
look,
when
you look
at
lower 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah, I think so. I'm with Joe.
I think we're on the rise again.
Well, there might be some in that, but what I'm saying is at the minute, the broadcast deal is not going up. Fact. It's going down. So,
do you think Nigel being in power would have changed that? I don't agree with that.
Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say.
My personal point, my opinion is, let's just assume what everybody behind the scenes. I know there's a lot of fans who obviously are not close or inside the sport like we are. You know, they've got the votes. That's why they're having the meeting with Simon today. They're basically saying to Simon Johnson today, look, we've got the votes. There's 11 Super League clubs. There's 14 from Championship League 1, at least 14. The vote is going to be unanimous. Simon, Wednesday, you know, if you go now, you can go dignified rather than facing up to the clubs on Wednesday at Wakefield and basically being
your
told...
only issue with this, Mick,
Let me finish, Joe, let me finish.
No.
Paul Simon going there at Wakefield, trying to cling on to power, the vote of no confidence, you know, a majority, he's gone. Derek Beaumont, Kevin Nicholas, Gary Everington, they're the three ringleaders, they're the three vocal points. And I know you said Lancashire, Craig, but Derek is Lancashire based and Derek is very, very vocal, along with...
Derek's become the power.
Yes.
And Derek's the power of social media as well, so if you take Derek on, you can have that social media. He's the only chairman who dare go on social media and say, you're talking bollocks. And so that's a big weapon.
And we're back. We've just had to send Joe for a little bit of a cool down, but he will be back joining us. And
sorry. Carry on, Mick. Come on. We're live. Go on,
we are live. Sorry, we've just had a quick 5-minute pause, a bit of a mad 5 minutes where we've had a chuckle about something. So yeah, maybe when we do a live show, which I'd love to do, we did one at Castleford all them years ago. Maybe we can reveal some of the crazy silliness that happens here. But no, before Joe had to leave us after he took his important phone call, we were talking about what is likely to happen this week. As we know, Simon Johnson's meeting the clubs. Craig, we know they've got the votes. The vote no confidence will be successful on Wednesday, and I don't think there's any shame on Simon's part or Sandy, who's resigned last week. I think the clubs, this is what I'm thinking, or what I'm hearing, I think the clubs want a more hands-on chairman. They want someone who's more vocal, who is a proven communicator, who can front up in front of press and media and lay out like what's gone on with Robert Hicks, what's gone on at the Salford Red Devils, you know, all the sort of fires that the RFL have been running to put out, Craig, if that makes sense. You know, I think that is ultimately what they're looking for. And I know you've mentioned the finances, and it is true. Simon Rand, Derek Beaumont, you know, they're putting in more than they're receiving, and they're now for the first time questioning the direction and the leadership of the RFL and thinking, well, where is this going? But in defence of the RFL, I will say this: people like Derek Beaumont, Simon Moran, you know, they were the ones who put all the eggs in this Robert Elston basket, which ultimately failed. So
yeah, but let me just stick up for that. Derek's different. Derek will go out. Simon's a private man. Simon would never ever want anybody to lose the jobs. He wouldn't oust anybody. If you know Simon, he wouldn't. He's an incredible character for the game, but he's very unassuming. For Simon to come out and try and help the game, that's what he'll do. If he thinks by helping, saying we need this leadership, I'm sure it's the last gasp thing. I think you've got different characters in this sport. If the majority of the sport, for every Degsy, we all love Degsy. I think he's an absolute breath of fresh air for this game. Simon were more private. He doesn't want even thingy. So that'd be, if it's an accumulation of all the chairmen and all the CEOs making the two divisions want to change, it'll happen, and it will happen on Wednesday, and it'll happen quick. And then the way they sell the person coming in, you'll see it. You'll see the social media change. It's a bit like the politicians and like most sports. And if it is Nigel, listen, if the word is what it was a month ago, that everyone's trying to get Nigel back in, I don't know how that works with the conflict of interest with Bradford. He'd have to resign at Bradford.
Yeah, I think.
And then I don't know if I'd want to see Nigel finish his journey with Bradford. I think that's he helped the club. He's got it stable. But as with Salford, you can think it's stable in a year's time. They've lost millions, and here we go, and they've gone, and Nigel's sat in another job, and all of a sudden everyone's like, Bradford's absolutely in the Shire. So, getting the ground back were important for somebody coming into Bradford. Nigel's done the right thing. Now they've got the ground back, they will get an investor quicker than they would have done before. Before, you were buying a franchise that was absolutely on its knees. Now you're buying a ground worth X amount as whatever it wants to be, so it's different. Listen, if it's true, Mick, and the campaign trails on for Nigel to come back, listen, it is what it is. The one thing for sure, the club CEOs, for them to want to go for Nigel, if it is Nigel, they're the ones with the invested interest. They're representing the fans.
Correct.
If the fans trust each one of their own CEOs and their own administration to win for Nigel, let's get it. That's it. It's just the way it is. I have no problem. I have no problem really, apart from I didn't like the way Nigel left the RFL. I think it wasn't so good in that last year, Mick, and you can't be a shithouse and say it was. The last year, it was slowly doing like this. They got Nigel out at the time. The clubs didn't want Nigel in. Now they see Nigel as a saviour 10 years later.
Well, it's madness. It's madness.
Which to me, it's not my way of. That's not my way of life. It's not the way I like to do things. So. But bottom line is, if we think Nigel can support the sport and be the best person at the moment to steer it till they find this golden person, I think that's what they're saying. Nigel will stabilise it if he comes in. Why they wait for the golden ticket?
Yeah,
if they ever find the golden ticket.
And the mechanisms are this. This isn't Nigel coming back and ruling roost. Derek, Beaumont, Gary Everington, Kevin Nicholas. There will be an implementation committee where there will be an interim chair who will then conduct a strategic root branch review, reform of rugby league in this country. And the timeframes, Craig, for me are scary, because you've got the vote on Wednesday at Wakefield. The next meeting is in July. So between what happens on Wednesday and then July, where if they decide Nigel Wood is the person to lead and chair the Rugby Football League on this implementation committee, then you're not leaving yourself a lot of time to look at the sport. We're not just talking Super League, Championship League One. We're talking the National Conference League. We're talking the women's game. We're talking about the growth and the nurture at community level, at junior level, at clubs, like Wigan St. Pat's, Stanley, West Bowling, Dudley Hill, Clayton, Queens, West Leeds, West Hull, Skirler, all those kind of places, famous clubs up in Cumbria. This is what I don't really understand. And I've searched into my soul. Like you said, Nigel come to Bradford, the ground, Bradford's stabilised, the money's been invested. Bradford, I know there was a bad result against Toulouse at the weekend, more on that later. But ultimately, I think it'd be madness. I really do think it'd be madness for Nigel after the way he was ousted and all the negative press and ill feelings and nasty comments he received. I'm thinking, why? Nigel's in his 60s now. He's just turned 60. Why would it, where he is in his life, why would he come back?
It's vanity.
Why would you come back? Why would you,
It's vanity, mate. You're not getting it. It's vanity. If Nigel feels he had unfinished business and he can pull rugby league round, and then I think he can put where he left probably hurt Nigel more than he's admitted. He's felt like the rugby league people wanted Ralph in. They wanted Nigel out.
Oh, it was personal. It was personal.
And he's
it was
now,
personal. That was personal.
If he can come back and he can put something together that for the next 3 years stabilises rugby league and gets us a better deal than he's currently on. Listen, if you're judging all the others by the TV deal, Nigel, I'll have to be saying, if that TV deal is on the way down anyway, because broadcasting at Sky is not the same as it was, then we've got too many. I listened to one the other day, and I'll try and share this with you. It was a Dana White just joined the boxing at the, is he called the Sheik? The guy who's taking over boxing. Anyway,
I don't.
He's now, it's unbelievable what he's done. So he's took boxing to Dubai, and they pumped them in Saudi, they pumped the billions in. He's been running at a loss of, let's say, 500 million on the event, but we've had the best fights in the history of the game. He's now gone and said to Dana White, well, we want to do this the exact same, but can you make this a business? So they brought Dana White in, which Eddie Hearn is, you can tell they've had their ass kicked. Frank Warren, all the ones who were eating the crumbs off the table are now going, oh my God, he's brought Dana in. They're panicking. So it's going to be different. What Dana said, what brilliant though, he said, he's going to put some of the, he does the, what's it called, the slapping. So he's invested in when they slap each other on the thing, and it's the competition. He's now made it into a multi-multi. It's a lot bigger than rugby league. 2 guys just slapping each other 3 times on face, and it's now one of the biggest up-and-coming sports. Dana bought it, and he said this quickly. He said, we're going to put it on YouTube because I want to spread the sport. The quickest way to spread a sport, but getting no money, is YouTube. But what it does is it gives you enough views to then take to a broadcaster and say, so it's what we've said before, get on YouTube, get loads of views, and then go to the money people and say, we've had 500,000 views on this, we've had 500,000, and then you negotiate a TV deal. You know, he's right what he's saying. He said there's 10 different streams now that pay big money. You've got to find your spot on one of them. It ain't just Sky no more. Them days have gone. Do you know when Sky come on, Mick? Can you remember this? We're going down the street in Donny, and everyone's got these new things on your roof, and we're like, what are them? And everybody were talking about this new Sky, it was called BSB, I think then, but everyone's saying...
Yeah, B Sky B.
B Sky B.
Yeah.
It's not like that now, Mick, is it? Not many people anywhere mention Sky as much. They don't, they mentioned... Well, I'd say, would you say Netflix is the first one you mentioned now?
Yeah, and look at Netflix, they're showing Premier League football from, I think it's 2 years' time. They're doing the NFL. Now, they did the big boxing the other week. They've bought the rights to, I know it's not technically a sport, but it is, sport is entertainment. The WWE, you've got Raw and SmackDown
is it
on
dance,
there.
Is it dance?
Dazan.
Then they're talking about Prime. So Sky, at one time, it was normal TV and Sky.
Sky had that monopoly,
Monopoly.
And it's gone. That is weakening now.
It's gone, and we've put, listen to everybody who's watching. We've put all our lot into Sky for 25 years. They have been brilliant with rugby league. Problem is they haven't got the power they had. So we've got to start moving our marbles about quick.
I agree.
We've got to say, thanks, Sky. I'm sorry you're on the downward spiral, but maybe we've got to look after what's best for us. And that's what this new person will have to do. Very quickly, what Dana White said. Yeah. You need to get your figures up and then go to the negotiation table and sell the negotiation. That's what you've got to do. This is what's got to happen very quickly. Whether that person is, best of luck for our sport. Hopefully we'll all get behind you. I think we've got great things happening in sport, so if somebody can put all this together, and what you've always said, Michael, is let the clubs not have the power, let this person have the power.
Correct.
And let him make right calls on behalf. We vote a local MP, and you're supposed to do, so he's supposed to represent your place.
Your constituency,
Yeah, that's what's happening here. We've got to get back to that.
I agree. And just one final one on this, Craig, I know we've spoken about this before, but you mentioned about good qualities. What this new leader of the RFL, I mean, we're assuming, but we know the votes, and unfortunately Simon Johnson's time is going to come. We know the clubs want a hands-on chairman. They want a very ruthless, driven negotiator, someone who's very stoic, someone who is not afraid to stamp on people and upset the small minority for the majority and greater good. You've experienced Nigel Wood as a club owner. You mentioned and referenced the big TV deal, the last big TV deal that Nigel got at Doncaster. Was the meeting actually at your ground, Keepmoat Stadium?
No.
You were somewhere though.
We listen, what I saw in Nigel in his pomp was a manipulator.
We're only going back 10 years ago, Craig.
Maybe longer, 15 minutes, what I saw of him. Manipulate for the benefit of the game. He could manipulate you to vote a certain way because he presented it a certain way. If they wanted the vote to go one way, I believe if he did that for the good of rugby league, he was brilliant at it. His spin was genius. He would sit with you. He was very, very high. His IQ, if you ever meet Nigel, his IQ is on another scale. His rugby IQ, for me, would be number one.
Wow.
I think so. If you put everything in, he hasn't lost an argument, but that's not a good thing. You need to lose some to learn. Sometimes Nigel don't let anybody else win an argument. He'll try and out IQ you. For me, more heart than brains. Sometimes, and I'm saying Nigel's more brains than sometimes show your heart. People leadership. It's not based on having the right answers. Leadership's based on your heart and you following from the front. The best leaders I've ever seen are them who go from the front. It's not somebody who can out intellect you on a debate. In fact, they bore the fuck. That wouldn't be for me.
Yes.
I'm more of a Jamie Peacock leader than somebody who's stood there intellectual. So let's hope the person they get. There should be more than. We should have 10 people for this job. What they're going to do is, I'll tell you what they're going to do, Mick. They're going to short-term the job and then they're going to look for somebody. If Nigel does a good job in that short-term, and it is Nigel that gets put forward, then Nigel will keep the job. If he goes, you're not kicking me out.
To be fair, if Nigel is the new chairman on this interim basis of this new implementation committee, and Nigel goes to DAZN, goes to YouTube, goes to Netflix, or whichever broadcasters are out there, and that broadcast deal goes up, we both know how the clubs are going to act, they'll be absolutely delighted. That will be Christmas come early if that Nigel can do that. And I agree, Craig. I think that position probably would be his because like I say, one thing I say about Nigel is, he goes to a hell of a lot of rugby league games. He's very hands-on, and like you say, when you actually sit and speak and sit down with Nigel, the knowledge and passion for the game, it does absolutely scream through. And I've said this to a few people, like, Mick, he's your chairman. You've had dealings with him. And I'm like, I just wish more people could see probably what me and you've experienced, Craig, when you've dealt with him in a sort of agent chairman of a club basis. Me as obviously, I work for Bradford, I work for the Rugby Football League, I work for Rugby League in a freelance capacity covering games. You have to go and interview these people at times. I just wish people could see that sort of, human side, the human nature, the humility, if that makes sense. But look, we'll leave it at that. I think this story probably, after Wednesday, we could probably do a full show on what's happened, what's been said. I mean, I'm going to be outside the ground on Wednesday. My train tickets are booked. I know there's going to be a lot of club owners who walk past me and go, bloody hell, Gleddell's here. But I wouldn't be doing my job right, Craig.
Look what the cat's dragged in, I'm thinking more.
Well, I think because I was there at Salford.
He gets where shit can't.
Well, yeah, that's true. They do say that. Certainly, if you've got a secret, you don't tell Gleddell, and I agree. But as I found out with this sport, Craig, there's a lot of loose lips and
sick chips.
Yes, it doesn't take long for stuff to be leaked. So look, I'm going to be there on Wednesday, first hand. So hopefully next week we can do a show on this because the vote will have been cast. Simon might even go early. They might even, like I say, if Simon goes now, they might even say, well, look, this is the direction we're going in. So even before this show comes out this week for you lovely viewers to watch. Well, it is the full 80 minutes. We're going to focus on the on-field action now. Super League started. We'll try and do this as quickly as possible, Craig, but Castleford against Salford. That was on Friday night. Again, because of the mess at Salford, is the game going ahead? Is it not? There were media reports that Salford players were downing tools. They weren't going to play. We know the RFL have advanced them more money, which has given the players their wages, but not the staff. And I checked with somebody this morning and the staff still haven't been paid. But that's kind of why it's come from the RFL, because they've only dispaid the players to keep it going. So the fixture played. And I know, and look, I'm sure if the Salford staff watching this, me and Craig, we have the greatest degree of sympathy with you, and we pray that this money does land in the bank account from the new owners, because we do not want a mess. But the game itself, Craig, I'll picture the scene. We're in Toulouse at the weekend. Very busy bar, Melting Pot. I've mentioned it already. I'm not on commission, by the way.
You are. You're on free drinks.
It's €9 for a double.
We know. Trust me.
But look, I had a choice between the two games. You've either got the Hull KR Saints game on or Salford Cas. Everyone were like, oh yeah, we want to watch top 2, top 3. And there's me in the corner. I had it on my phone on a little tripod. And to be fair, because obviously Hull KR were so strong against Saints, and this game was the one, resulting doubt right up to the Uta, and everyone were crowding round. But first of all, what a great performance by Castleford and Danny Maguire. I am really, really pleased that Castleford and Danny Maguire have got that done. And it was great to see Danakora, a former Bradford man, really shine. Moses Mustafa, Craig, oh boy, I know they've got tough fixtures coming up, but what that will do for the morale and confidence, and you see it now, Fletcher Rooney, oh my word, he is really, he's already in that Super League Young Player of the Year territory for mine. And it's only round 3.
I was set up with the Saints game on Sky, and then I had me iPad.
You had them both on?
I had, what's it called, Super League Plus?
Yeah, Super League Plus, yeah.
So that can only be watched on an iPad or that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm also getting some commentary from Wakefield Reserves. So I'm a 3-way. Might have been my heyday, that thing. No, I'm 3-way, and I'm stood there and I'm watching it all. And
I was going to say that's me on a Monday night in Leeds.
I'm joking. I'm sat there, and next thing you know, I can't say this way, I get into somebody in trouble. I get disconnected on my iPad because Joe's nicked the password, and it only allows one person, which is brilliant, by the way. Well done, the Rugby League, or whoever's done it, that you can't pass that about like they've done before. So I love that, because it means. So then I'm out of the Cas game, and Joe's text going, ha, I've lent sent to Mary.
We need Joe back on show.
I'm going to tell you, I said to Mary, who the effing hell's give him that password? She said, oh, he asked for it. I said, so I'm going mad. And he goes, Dad, I've got Danakora debuting. You can't do this to me. We've been through all the emotion.
He was messaging in me, was Joe.
Yeah, we've been through all the emotion of Dan this week. Anyway, so I'm watching the whole game. Let's speak about the Cas game quickly. Great game. What I saw the highlights, because of that clown, is I was so pleased for our player Danakora, been through a lot, Mick, honestly.
Yes. He
got offered a few clubs when LKR decided they didn't want him. We got him a few options. Leeds Rhinos were one. He decided to sign for Warrington, and he's ended up at Cas. He hasn't had a game so far at Cas, and he's different. I try and give you a little bit of an in-depth, and I hope this helps people who don't understand. Danakora wouldn't come from a background of rugby league. Danakora wouldn't be John Bateman at 7-year-old could play under 15s because he knew everything about rugby league. Luke Gale, Danny Maguire's, these type of rugby league people who are just Elliot Whitehead, they just know how to play rugby.
It's ingrained in them from an early age, yeah.
Dan would have no really family awareness of people talking about rugby league all the time as a kid growing up. It wasn't gone to that many matches. So I try and describe it on development is, Dan will be 21-year-old in physique, but in rugby snouts could be probably 11, 12, whereas you get these Lewis Dodsey was been brought up around rugby from being he knew when I first met Lewis, it was like an encyclopedia of rugby league. He could talk on a level with me at 16 and a half with his dad. It was just scary, you get me?
Yeah.
So people who are late developers, as in mentally on rugby league and physically, it does take time. But you're also scared because you're going towards end of your contract. If you don't play at Cas this year, I can't tell you what there's a backstory to what happened in the week, and different personalities, and them not understanding where Dan is and how he is. Anyway, good on Danny Maguire, good on Danny Wilson, good on the staff there who said, you know what, got to give this kid a chance. He's come here, he's trained hard, he's done everything right, we're going to give this kid a chance. And what did he do? He took it.
Yeah.
So all we ask of Dan is give it 100% effort and take your chance. This might be the only door that opens for Dan to get you that chance. Well, he's done his son no harm at all in how he played. I thought, what I saw of the highlights, I think Danny wouldn't still be happy, Maguire wouldn't still be fully happy with the performance.
Oh, it wasn't polished.
It wasn't polished,
no.
but I think he'll be happy with the effort.
A lot of spirit, yeah.
And the atmosphere, and they've got the rat off the back. They got the two. I suppose what Danny would say is, get this rat off our back, because there's no like not having a point. They've now got 2 points. The fans... what's the Ukru scored at the end of it?
Chudarimbo,
and again, fabulous. The fans will love that. He gave them a bit of passion. He says that he called it Mrs. Mycas fans. So that's what the club needed. It needed to galvanise. I thought Mawis were absolutely superb. I thought young Rooney is what he is going to be.
Yeah.
There'll be times this year they'll have to pull him back and rest him. We don't want to get him overexposed to any physicality or things. Cas have got massive challenges this year. I want to give a special mention. Alex Mellor's been the most standout player for Cas for the last 15 months, in my opinion. And he continues to lead from the front, and he leads with leadership. That's a kid who could have gone to 7 or 8 other clubs. So if you're on about who's got Cas at heart, I'd start with Alex Mellor. And when that game of the week was going wrong at Leeds, it was Mellor who started to they only come back in that game because Mellor started to take a ball in at full pace, and he was showing some leadership and passion, and he wanted it. All of a sudden, try. Do you get me? So, I feel sorry for Salford. I think they've gone there ill prepared. They didn't train in the week, mate. They only did 2 training sessions. I can tell it now. Yeah. It's past. The players have decided, and rightly so, that they wasn't going to keep training because it wasn't fair. They wasn't getting paid.
No, which is right.
But they haven't prepared for them. How they've even got there and got within so many points is remarkable.
It's testament, yeah.
It's testament to their players, what they're going through mentally, what Paul Rowley and his staff are going through mentally, what the club's going through mentally. So thank you, Salford, for putting on a game for the spectacle. Thank you for saving the Sky deal. And thank you, I suppose Danny Maguire would say, thankfully we've got 2 points and Cas are on the thing, but that's what we'll get out of that game, Mick. It wouldn't be a classic. Cas will say the points are in. Salford will say we can't get any worse now. We're hoping the badness is over.
Well, they've got Bradford in the quarterfinals of the Challenge Cup on Friday, and I'd probably say if they were to lose that's probably even worse. Yeah, rock bottom. I know the result. I've seen the highlights. I've not seen the full game. So I'm going to put the St Helens Hull KR game on you. From what I've seen, very, very good Hulkingston Rovers win, and they are top of the table, Craig. No secret.
I did say they've won the league this year, didn't I?
Well, I wasn't going to mention that, but no, joking aside, someone actually did pull me yesterday in Toulouse, and they said, your partner in crime. He called that, and I was like, well, I said, Craig, big bold predictions. This one's looking like absolutely nailed on.
I said it because I thought they had the biggest squad, Mick. What I did notice against Saints, I thought Saints when they played Cas, I thought Saints were back. Suddenly they played KR, and KR totally won the yardage battle, the field position.
Yeah, they won the collisions from what I saw. Yeah, and that was worrying for Wellens, Greers, and Eamon O'Carroll.
And then when they shaped up, Saints looked like they didn't have that many ideas, which is again very alarming. Johnny certainly wasn't on it. They did well to keep in the game, but it sounds daft that KR could have put up a few points on them. I thought they did well. I thought KR was spectacular. I thought if there's anybody going to challenge Wigan at the moment, it's only KR. You know what, don't you? Let's be honest. What we've saw so far, I've got Saints to do something special by the end of the year. But I think they're going to... Do you see this? There's a lot of pressure on Paul, right? I don't do social media. I don't. We do the internet, don't I? Somebody said, Wellens is getting it from every angle. Now, that's a lot of pressure on that club because they brought Eamon O'Carroll and they brought Lee Breeze to attack Eamon to do defence. Paul's managing that situation. He's managing they've managed to keep Matty Lees. They've managed to keep George Delaney. They've managed to produce these young players that look spectacular. But if the pressure's still coming on, where are they in the league, Saints? 4th?
Yeah. They're still in the top 6, yeah.
And the pressure's on Paul. It's going to be... The club are going to find a way of taking that off Paul because the fans, for some reason, are not buying into Paul, are they?
No, and
he's a gentleman. I love him.
And when we did the Super League previews, I know it was a crazy, bold prediction, but I did say, I think Saints might just miss out if it doesn't go right, and Paul could be a casualty. And all of a sudden, a few people were saying, bloody hell, that doesn't look as crazy as it was.
No, he did. And I don't like saying that about coach, but for some reason, and I don't know what it is, it happened to Kieran Cunningham. I don't know if it's results-based or whether I
think it's the style, they're not happy. But then when you look at that Castleford game and, throwing it around, Harry Robertson, the Whitby, the youngsters who they've got coming through, absolutely amazing. But yeah, one club who you did mention there, so didn't mention Craig, you mentioned obviously challenging Wigan. I think Lee Leopards have to be rightfully up there.
Listen,
I mean, Dave Armstrong, I know he's been ill, but, wow. He for mine is in Man of Steel territory, right here, round 3.
Finishing on Saints, Lewis Murphy's back in next 10 days. I think he's an X-Factor player for them, and I said that to you pre-season, not because he's ours, but I just think he's got something different as Lewis. He's a bit more X-Factor, another one to add. Based on the Lee match, now I watched that fully.
I did, interlude. Oh, absolutely amazing, Craig.
I think it was one of the greatest up and down games. Again, quality, but then down a quality, up in quality, knock on. It had everything. It had a bit of aggression. It had a bit of shirt sleeving. There were a couple of, and then the sudden death, and you're thinking, how many times do you think, well, surely they can set up for this, and then they couldn't get the right position. So the game had everything. We've got Lee top 6. I think Lee are now an established top 6 club. And You're right, mate. We've got another Bevan in Armstrong.
Yes.
We've got another Bevan.
Yeah, Dave Armstrong. Oh, and you're right about the game. So I need to stop saying I was in Toulouse. People have been...
Freebie.
But no, I've been over there for the past week, so I'm watching it with someone who's relatively new to rugby league, and I'm explaining the rules as it's going along. But let me tell you, I know there's been criticism of the captain's challenges and slowing the game down, but oh boy, if ever there was a game that added to the drama and the contextualisation of everything from the atmosphere and the nerves and the viewing figures and selling the sport, it was that new captain's challenge rule, because not only have you got referee Tom Grant going to the video referee, I think 6 or 7 times during the game. There's 2 inconclusive challenges.
I don't like
it goes to golden points, so each club gets another challenge, and then you've got the Briscoe foot on the line, which referees boss Phil Bentham has come out and said, we've dropped a clanger here.
100%.
Don't go after us. We have a tough job.
You don't need cameras to have a look at the stud marks on the touchline.
I was actually watching. I'm there. He's put his foot on the touch, ball in hand. Briscoe has took it out on the full. It is a penalty to Hull FC. And I'm listening to video referee Jack Smith, and I'm like, can't Jack Smith or somebody say, look, he's caught the ball whilst his foot's on the line. It is a penalty to Hull on. I mean, to be fair, I think both Cartwright and Lamb will be absolutely pleased privately with a point, but obviously I thought Lee's game management in Golden Point, Craig, was absolutely atrocious. They had chance after chance in that 10-minute period, 5 each way. I think there were 4 times they were in that Hull 20, and rather than be composed, show that patient approach, get it back, drop goal, it looked like they were next try wings it, and I think they'll be very frustrated. Will Adrian Lamb with
they'll
that
be
drop point.
They're a top side, mate. I don't think Rob, but I know Rob never played. They got Trouty. They're playing the real. You know what they say, mate? The lads. I've never seen. I went to see Rob Byrne and Trouty in Manchester about a month and a half ago. I've never seen 2 players as happy about being at a place.
That's great.
So whatever's coming out, it's booming. They say the club is booming.
It is.
Membership's up. Yeah. Fantastic experience.
Again,
the players love being around each other,
and that stems from strong leadership.
Yeah.
Love him or loathe him. Derek Beaumont.
Well, and Chris Chester's done it.
No, but
Chris Chester told me pre-season that Armstrong would be right up there with anybody, and I said, "Who's Armstrong?" I did. He said, "Craig, wait till you see him.
I tipped him for the Man of Steel.
Yeah, he said, "Get ready to what you see here."
Yeah,
so he's delivering.
He's X-Factor.
Let me give a special mention to Hull FC. So I'll make this quick. The heart is back in Hull. Let me say this: the heart is back in Hull. The KR derby now is going to be absolutely, because what you're going to have is you've got one of the best KR sides for the last 30, 40 years and in a brilliantly run club. You've got it against a club who's beginning to climb that ladder and they're starting to believe in each other. I think they've got the two best up-and-coming wingers in the game, in Barron and Martin. And that's top two coach told me that a couple of weeks ago. He said, you know what, them two are going to be, and I said, oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, Barron and Martin.
I think that the club's got the heartbeat coming. They've got some great young kids. David Litton's back next week. There's another one. I think this derby coming is going to be absolutely, because you know what all they're going to do? They're not going to take a backward step. They're quite aggressive. I don't know if you noticed. They're really contact. The back row of the Cartwright, the coach's son, he's like one of them old players from 20 years ago. He's all elbows, McNeese. He comes in late. He's a cheap shot. He's not bothered. He'll cause, you know what? We love Mikey Lewis in a derby. They've got that Cartwright. And you watch, he's one of them in a derby. He'll cause a riot. It'll be absolutely something. So the heart's back in all. Well done. You've had 5-6 years of stickle. Good on you. You're starting to breathe again, and it's brilliant for the game. The
Saturday game, Catalans picking up their first win against Leeds. I actually, after the Bradford-Toulouse game, put this on the... I'll tell you something, this is a quick one. Whilst you're in France, I was absolutely shocked that there's a sporting app on Canal or BN, I can't remember, but basically get to the apartment and I'm like, can I watch any Super League while I'm here? And I presume this is a deal that French broadcasters have done with the Super League, but all those Super League games from this weekend were on and are available on demand on this French app. So I've been in heaven, Craig.
Super League clubs could be having another moan there, saying they're getting free. They're not paying free, and they.
Well, we don't know, but no. But it's good to grow the game in other territories. But yes, my thoughts on that game just quickly. I think the first half was probably one to forget. Horrible testing conditions, the rain. There was a couple of controversial sin bins, but I agree with what people have said. You give the first one, you then give the second one. But you know, oh boy, very gutsy performance by Steve McNamara's Catalan Dragons. I think Leeds will be a bit frustrated again on the captain's challenge. I forget who was it. Jake Connor who knocked on over 3 minutes. I can't believe I'm seeing this more and more from games. Clubs just wasting the challenge early doors. You know, I know Jake's saying it's come off the torso, but the footage was conclusive. It came off the hands. But
my feeling on that is there'll be certain players in your team, if you've ever played sport, who you will know would want the challenge every time they do it wrong. So if they knocked on, they're just a challenge.
And I think Jake Connor's that type of player.
You as captain have to go, sorry son, you've said this every time. So my advice on that players is, if a player gets two captain's challenges wrong, never let them do it again. As for the game, Catalans needed to win.
100%.
First time I've ever seen Steve Mack under pressure.
The pressure was on.
Yes. So they delivered. The defence was superb. The line speed and the aggression. That contact was the best contact I've seen of Catalans in a long, long time. They're still nowhere near a good ball, Nick. Nowhere near. The centre, the left centre and the winger looks sensational. They'll come good. Later on in the season, their left edge will come good. I'll tell you now, I've watched them. That centre is big, he's aggressive. I'm watching it thinking, wow, then the winger from Australia, sorry, we get told off for the names and I feel terrible, but their left edge will come good. Still not a lot of footy in them. I find this really bad with Leeds because my heart, you know, we need consecutive high-level performances off Leeds, and I didn't see this, and I don't know why. So when Leeds were attacking, Mick, sometimes teams play flat. Do you know what that means? You'll know it. So what they do is and if you play flat, you have to play push, which means if I hit a lead or hit somebody, you get an half break, offload, pushing players through. So we call Sydney Roosters did it about 6 years ago, better than I've ever seen. They go either side at ruck, short lead, and 4 players pushing through line on every play.
Yeah, because you've got that support player, those options.
You've got to be prepared to offload. You've got to be prepared for 4 or 5 players to push at every play.
Yes,
right. It doesn't get done as much here. It has been done years by. Leeds don't do that. The other one is the Darryl Powell play, which is shape deep, and players putting shape on. Do you know what that means? So it means that if Jake Truman gets the ball, I've already know where the fullback is. He'll be behind me. I've got a lead on my back row, I've got my centre and my wing, and I'm going to put a play on. And it's all done in shape. Leeds don't seem to be in shape in attack or playing flat. They just seem to play deep, but with no shape. Do you understand me?
Yes.
So when they're passing a ball, they're passing the ball, it's 20 metres behind. You know, if you look here, they're passing it here, then he's chucking it quick there, but there's nothing being put on. So that has to be coming from, I'm assuming, the halves or the fullback or the hook. I don't know where that shape is. And Leeds, they give us rocks and diamonds.
Well, it's...
And the effort level of them are fantastic. There's no one at Leeds not trying. The coach is a taskmaster, Mick. They reckon he's absolutely like bang, bang, bang. But the Aussie way for sometimes is field position, line speed. If you win the ruck, you win the game. I probably want to see a bit more shape in attack and find a purpose. I want to be able to go to Leeds, Mick, and say, I know exactly how Leeds are going to play today. I don't think that happens at Leeds a lot. You don't know what you're getting through door. Honestly, mate, you go into Leeds and you can corporate on Mike and Rob Oakes and they'll sit there, they'll go, it's the first time I've ever seen it done. Ladies and gentlemen, today's result, who thinks Leeds are going to win?
I know you told me.
It's a bit weird. But you know, it used to be like they'd say, who thinks Leeds are going to win?
Everyone's cheering.
Now it's like the fans are in that nervous bit.
Yeah.
Do you get me? What everyone's in. We need a strong Leeds. If we don't get somebody apart from KR and maybe Saints to challenge what we're going to do it like next 3 or 4 years, it won't be great for a game.
No, I agree. And I think when you look at, 11-0, they've not been blown away, but they just never really looked like scoring. And the frustrating thing is that first sort of 50, 55 minutes against Castleford, you didn't see any of that. It was almost like a hangover from that last 15 minutes when Castleford obviously scored all those points to make that scoreboard, which had blown out, a lot more respectable. So they've got a very tricky game on Friday at St Helens. I think,
and then Wigan and Warrington.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much pressure on Brad Arthur. I think there's more on Wellands. But oh boy, if there's ever a Challenge Cup game where you want to get a performance, a result.
Do you know what as well? Jake's been a big part of our show, really, and hopefully in the most respectful manner. I think they put Jake in because when they are short of ideas, they're hoping Jake produces that idea.
That catalyst.
And he looks as fit. Yeah. You know, Jake looks as fit as I've ever seen him. Some of his play is magical. But do not have a situation at Leeds where Jake plays well, you win. If Jake manages to do that like he's done at Huddersfield and all, it's not great for team, do you get me? As well as Jake's playing, I think Jake's playing brilliant. And well done, Jake, on your conditioning looks brilliant. I might have to follow you, but you look brilliant. But Leeds have got to be strong as a team, and some of the, how can I put this? Some of the players, there's definitely Mick, Crofty and Frawley, and Ackers, and the fullback. I don't know. It's something's disjointed. Something's disjointed. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what the details. Them lads who are working with them every day will know. That pivot and how they play, it's not. Do you know when Wakey are attacking at the moment?
Yeah, well, I look at.
You know what I mean, don't you?
I look at Wakefield, the execution.
9 clean breaks yesterday. 9 clean breaks.
The fluency, that's the word. Fluency is there on Wakefield's attack. It's jittery, stuttery with Leeds.
Yeah,
that's the best way. That's the word I was looking for. Fluency.
Yeah.
Well, we've done the Super League. I know we're focused on Warrington and Wigan. Coming off the Vegas weekend. Just a little bit of focus on Wakefield Trinity. They were my pick to try and bust into the playoffs. Wow. If you're ever going to play Warrington, you play him coming back with a jet lag. I understand what you're saying, Craig, but that was no smash and grab. That was a very, very dominant Wakefield performance. And I know I've given this man praise on this show, but wow, Matty Staunton in 2025, Craig. England. I'll say it now, yeah. He is in England and Dream Team territory.
Well, your challenge is, Mr. Wayne, and I'm going to say this, Sean and your staff, there's a little bit of thingy in the descendancy saying that we don't look enough at players like Stozzer in the Yorkshire side. And I think it should be. And I think it needs to be tested, and Sean should have to give a good reason. You know, I don't think you can... Matt once, Wakey said I use an analogy called roll out the barrel, and he thinks I go roll out the barrel. I hope we don't roll out the barrel for the Test series and what's coming. I think you've got to think outside. If somebody is hitting form on a level, don't matter what you think of your reputation of having 5-year-old. I mean, I love Elliot Whitehead, one of my favourite Super League players. I don't think Elliot should have been playing England last year. I think he got to that stage.
Time has gone.
But what they do is they'll go bang. And do you know what? I don't want to do for England? I don't want it to be about. I used to go Marbella every year with lads, and we never allowed anybody else to come into it. There was 16 of us. And you'd be at airport. Johnny's here. Johnny last year. Hey Sam.
Very clicky, yeah. Very clicky, yeah.
You get me? And then lads would be bored after 2 days, and I'd go, yeah, because we haven't invited no new people. It's just same thing. We all know what's going to happen. He's going to fall asleep at 9 o'clock. He's going to be on lap dancing. You could pinpoint everything. Obviously, not lap dancing, me. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
I think Sean and his staff need to be going out and watching all these games live. Let's see Sean at these other games, not just Wigan and not just around the length. If you want to have a question, I think, and Sean's good at this. He does speak to Powley a lot. He does speak to the staff a bit. But I'm challenging Sean to say, if somebody like Stozza, Mike McGeegan, by the way, is the best prop in the country at the moment. He is phenomenal. I don't know what stats he did yesterday at last 3 weeks, but I'm talking it's got to be 200 metres. But if somebody like Stozza's coming off the shelf and you go, yeah, but he's never been... Well, has he been consistently a top-level player? He was growing. He was developing. He is now. And if you're looking at informed back rowers, I'm challenging you. I'm challenging for somebody to say, you know, Morgan Gannon, for me, and December are the best 2 young back rowers in the world. That's a big statement. Gannon, I'll tell you, if you want a positive out Leeds, Gannon is the real deal. December, I don't want to even say it, we don't have to. Them 2 are the real deals. Stozza's one of them, and you go, you know what? Where else would you go? Back row, sensational. Max Jowett, I'm gonna put a platform for Max Jowett. Get me a top 3 better fullback than Max Jowett at the moment. I'm serious. He's making 3 or 4 clean breaks, 5 clean breaks a game, more than any other fullback. Well, it's probably Jai. I apologise. Yeah. Jai would be up there, but Max would be up there. Armstrong will be up there. Max is doing, and let's have a proper debate on it. You should be watching somebody like Max Jowett, who's 26, 27-year-old now, who has been through everything in his career. And then last year, as Jack Walker said to me yesterday, brilliant what Jack said. He said he's had that lovely year in Championship where he's learned to do everything, and he's come back to Super League with a bang because he was allowed to go Championship and just play and play and play.
Where there's a lot more holes, gaps.
You've got it.
See what works. And it's great to see, and Ollie Pratt as well, the young centre, transferring that as well into Super League. Wow.
Well, tell me you better young centre in country.
Well, there you go.
It is a thing for we'll challenge the England on this.
It's really exciting at Wakefield.
We'll challenge an England thing on this, and I'm serious here. OKR second in league, potentially going for the top. Let's see how many get in England squad from OKR. Okay.
Are you?
Well, I'm telling you, if you're top at league or second, how many are your players?
Yeah, you normally, yeah.
In the olden days, yeah. Saints, Bradford, Wigan, Leeds.
Yeah, it was.
Then you get 1 or 2 from each of us.
Yeah.
KR now have been in top 4 for 3 years. Let's see how many get into that England squad.
See how many of them.
Let's see if Wakey finishes top 6. How many get into the England squad? Let's see if we can freshen that up a bit. And my opinion is that's got to happen. Wakefield are doing a whole KR from 3 years ago.
Yes.
They're the club who everyone wants to go and watch. When Tony Smith had OKR playing that stuff and they were on the real, everybody were excited. OKR are now the real deal, so that's different. Daryl's got, and I tell you what, a private one on Daryl. That's probably his best result he's had in 10 years. I can't tell you why, the bit of personal stuff. He'd have loved to stuff it at Warrington after what happened. I'm telling you now, that smile, he would have been absolutely just saying bump. And I think the team talk that have been 1 or 2 at Warrington, they're going to mention, lads, do this for me. You know, these ousted me. I took a lot of personal stake. Big victory for Darryl Powell and Wakey. Warrington, and this is something I've been thinking about last night when we're going to talk. A bit like Leeds. Do you know what you're going to get? Fatigue, obviously terrible for them to come back after that, no doubt, after Vegas, but took a lot out of them. 4 or 5 players dropped out, top players, well, by the way, top players. But I think Warrington would have been nervous playing Wakey yesterday, and I know that a couple of the staff had said apprehension of Wakey coming and what could happen. I think it could have been a bigger score than they got. I don't think Warrington know what they're getting, a bit like Leeds. I think they're a top club with some of the top players in the world. I don't know what... I'm the chef. I don't know what I'm cooking. And I think until Warrington and Leeds can hit that level consistently and know that you get that same performance... Do you get me? There's a bit of disconnection there.
Yeah.
And I think...
They're both lacking connectability.
Yeah, and I think... And I'd love to know what it is, because Sam's a man among men. He's still a young, raw coach. And he won't... One thing about Sam that'll be quite... confident. Sam won't sit there and say to anybody, I'm worried, he'll say, oh yes, easy, don't worry, we can beat these. Do you get me? If Sam were going into a war and he was Ukraine against Russia, Sam would say Ukraine would win, because Sam would say, oh yeah, we'll beat them easy. And somebody will go, Sam, you can't win, they've got 25 million against your one. Yeah, we can win. Probably around him somebody needs to say, that disconnection, what I see. And I always think with Warrington, can anybody win the league, Mick? I think if George plays well, Warrington play well. If George doesn't play to a 10 out of 10 or a 9, I don't think Warrington win the matches. And I think if you looked at Wakey yesterday, I thought there were 5 or 6 different connections. Truey's playing with... Do you know Truey?
Well, we saw
he's playing with Cigar. Yeah, I watched him yesterday.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm watching him sway. I'm watching his balance and he's slowing game down. I don't even think he's in second gear. I love you, Troy, and I think there's 10 more gears to come. But you know what? I think he thought the game won. I think he had him. And I think he thought, here we go, ding, ding, do you get me? But Warrington, for me, is it Windrop, the centre? He looks sensational, the young kid. Lindop, if he's 18. He's 18, 19. Wow. And again, if Wayne is looking for centres, now you'd say what I saw in Australia of our, what's he called, our centre over there? The Australian centre. Did you see him?
Weekend.
Oh my God. Like, his levels have gone, we didn't think his levels could go up from his last England. He's gone up again. He's a shoo-in for the Test series. You'd have to say Wardle is an absolute shoo-in for the Test series. But I'm hoping Sean and his staff again look at these young kids and give some of them some, because we're straight into World Cup year after. Let's not get bogged in and playing. Let's not get bogged in playing a 32-year-old who might not be. Let's go for a little bit. What an experience to take that young lad with them. I'm on about Stozzer.
Yeah, it'd be good if you got a Max Jowett in there and all.
Danny Maguire's gone out publicly, which I think he's brave, and said Jez Linton's the best hooker in the comp. Prove me wrong. And Brian Carney said it on Sky, and it were like, I watched people, they're like, and I thought, why are we scared of saying that? There's other players get all the toffee. You know, they get toffee. Jez Linton is probably the best. Do you know what I'm saying? Tell me a club who could have Mickey Mack playing 15 minutes and they're playing just 65. Mickey Mack in his own right is a top quality hooker still. He was playing Catalans. He's been an international hooker. That's how much faith they've got in Jez.
Yeah.
Do you know how many minutes he's playing, Mick? They're playing Mickey at 15 to 16 minutes. That's how good Jez is. But again, Warrington like Leeds a bit of disconnection.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Warrington go to Widnes on Saturday night. That's one of the Challenge Cup ties I'm looking forward to. Wakefield going to Huddersfield, who haven't really found any rhythm or form yet. I think you'd have to say...
I agree with you. I think Huddersfield have been the most unlucky start I've ever seen. I've watched the last 3 or 4 games and the actual aggression, the line speed.
Well, the whole FC game that went to Golden Point, they had it in the bag. The game management was absolutely atrocious.
But do you think the effort levels and the
yes, there's effort there, Craig. But if the game management,
they were unbelievable for 50 minutes.
Well, I was watching that on the phone whilst I was on the train. It was quite difficult to, but there was that hangover. Look, that last half an hour, it was bang, bang, bang. We're back to the best. But there was certainly enough credibility in that first 50-minute Huddersfield performance to know that there is a team there, and they are certainly playing for Luke Robinson.
They are.
But unfortunately, and I love people like Fenton Rodgers, Aidan McGowan, young George Flanagan, of course, who come through the Bulls Academy. But when you are coming up against those very, very star-studded Super League players like we can have at their disposal, there's only going to be one winner, Craig, with that.
Mick,
that effort.
The difference between any clubs, I'm telling you, and do it quick for you. If you're a supporter of Super League, 6791, keep saying it, 6. They are the 4 players who would be driving the bus. Do you get me? Huddersfield 6791. Do any Huddersfield 6791?
No, they don't
get in a top 3 club, top 4 club.
No.
If you're at home, do that a lot. That's probably the difference.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go, would they get in? Would they get in?
Yeah.
Would they get in? I think Huddersfield are playing for him. I think they're putting the effort in. I'll leave it at this one. I said at the start of the show, Wigan could play any of the top NRL teams and give them a game, and they're on 9 million cap. God help Super League, because if the 4th league on points, we've got to get Leeds, Saints, Warrington and Catalans, and these clubs have got to have a right dig at Wigan. Otherwise, we could be watching Leeds did it, Saints did it. We could be watching next 5 years. I spoke to a chairman before I come on air, and I said, I'm not going to say which one, top 6 club. And I said, we need to challenge Wigan, and Wigan are openly wanting you to challenge them. If it's true that they're only going to they haven't made a move this year in the transfer market.
Yeah, it might be.
And they're saying next year they're going to bring one person in. If they think they're that confident, other clubs should be bowing their heads in disgrace.
Agree.
That they can think that they can. That's not arrogance. That's saying we've got our young ones coming through.
Yeah.
We've got enough quality to win this for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
It's scary. It's a scary prospect, what might be. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has been the full 80 minutes. I know we haven't focused on the Championship and League One, but be rest assured we will be doing. And guess what? If you are watching this, the full 80 minutes, there is a very, very special Inside the Deal show, and also look out for a separate Challenge Cup Last 16 preview show where we will look and focus on those Challenge Cup ties that take place this weekend. But yes, our thoughts certainly are with the players at Salford and the fans. Hopefully there is some good news, but as always, watch this space. It's going to be a big week for Rugby League. Wednesday council vote. The RFL might be ousted, they might not. No one knows just exactly which way that will go, but we strongly suspect there will be an interim chairman who is a very, very familiar face to the world of Rugby League. Until next time, keep it positive, Rugby League. Love and peace.